have the player check when he bumps into something. Is it a goal box? Little things like that. So we can have it respond to that collision. And that's probably what we'd have. The box would have some sort of on trigger. See, right now it's a collision. So by default, it would be on collision when something bumps into it. But we don't actually want to be stopped by this box. Right now, if we try to walk into that room, boom, we just hit the wall, and nothing happens. Well, that's probably not what we want. Although maybe this is supposed to be a door that opens when you bump into it. But probably we want it to be a trigger. And a trigger responds to an on-trigger event. So when we walk into it, it's a little funnier with the character controller, but let's just pretend this is the case here. It'll trigger when we walk into it like this. And you can't see the box from the inside. And that's great. Now, obviously, you don't want this box to look like this at all. You probably don't want it to show up, in which case what you just do is you get rid of the renderer. And what are we really creating at this point? Well, we've got basically an empty game object with a box collider attached to it, which is normally the way that I would do it. Well, it depends. Sometimes I like putting the cube on there so that when I'm in the game, I visually can see the colliders. So now I don't see anything, but it's still there. And when I walk into it, again, barring some funniness with the character controller, it'll fire the on-trigger event, and the on-trigger event can do whatever the hell you want it to do. You know, it can put up a message that says, hey, you are the winner, congratulations. It can spawn monsters. It can give you points. It can tell you that you've found a secret. It can trigger an achievement. And those are all other things you have to program. There's no, set way of doing it. But in Unity, it's these sorts of just big colliders that you walk into that you would trigger. And it doesn't have to fill the whole room, right? We could just have it covering the doorway, and as soon as you walk through the doorway, that'll trigger it. If you wanted it to be an automatic door you didn't have to walk into, you could put an object here, and then you could have a couple of trigger zones that extend past the door on both sides. And as soon as you walk in and you trigger that, then the door will just slide aside. And as soon as you leave the trigger, then the door will slide closed again. Very, very easy to do. Other than the fact that you need a little bit of programming to define exactly what the behavior is, because there's nothing standard. There's no way to write one solution that works for everything, unless you're literally just trying to clone an existing game. Then you can, I don't know, take that game engine and you're basically just using a map editor. Oh, it crashed again.
It sure did.
I don't understand.
Crashed real bad. Just making sure you knew.
Thanks. Should be going live anytime now. Excellent. It's actually not live on my screen, which is funny. So let me reload my own browser. I think, and I gotta talk to the people more, but I'm pretty sure that I can get fiber optic at my house now. I'm crossing my fingers. If so, I think I might just splurge. I mean, it's not much more than regular internet, but it's just kind of a pain in the ass to get everything changed over. And then I'll actually get a decent upload rate, because the problem is where I live, the internet is bad, but they're finally getting a decent service. Okay, we're gonna get into shooting in a moment. Someone asked a question if we're gonna have enemies in this game. We're not gonna have moving enemies because programming AI is a hard problem, and it's so game specific. But we're gonna have enemies that just sort of stand still, just basically target practice is what this is going to be. So we're just gonna drop some lights all over the place here. Boom, 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 boom. Maybe here. And we don't need these lights to be paired like that anymore. Although we do need one somewhere over here. And something like that. So we're going to do one more bake, which will probably take a while because there's so many more lights right now. So hold your breath. Grind, grind, grind. Watch the chat. Someone's asking if bullets follow gravity. They follow gravity if you want them to follow gravity. Obviously, in reality, they do. But most games operate on such short distances that gravity doesn't make sense for gravity to affect bullets in sort of these interior compounds, right? It's different if you're playing a sniper game and you're sniping someone who's like a mile away from you, then it's a whole other thing. But in this game, bullets probably, it wouldn't make sense for them to be affected by gravity. It also wouldn't make sense for them to actually have a travel time. We can treat bullets as instantaneous in here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, assuming we have time, I'm going to create more than one weapon type. And some will be affected by gravity, and some will not, just so that we can highlight the differences. All right, first thing we're actually going to need is some sort of enemy to shoot at, and I'm going to make I don't know, a very straightforward sort of target dummy thing. I don't know. I guess we'll go back to Blender, and we'll model something with my awesome skills of an artist. All right, so we are going to create like literally like a dummy on a post, right? So we're going to create. We'll start with a cube, since that usually works out pretty well. We'll start with a cube from the front. So this is 2 by 2. We're going to take this, move it upwards, so it's centered. Yeah, I guess it's going to be kind of human height, right? So, just under 2 meters tall, and it's going to be chest height. So we'll bring it up to around here, and then we will scale it to be a little narrower. We'll grab the bottom, scale it down, and then we're going to take this and apply a maybe a subdivision. Make it look kind of like a human torso. Oh, right, I forgot to scale it that way. Make it narrower. All right, so that's, you know, kind of vaguely human torso-ish. And we're just going to say that everything is shaded smooth. All right. And then we're going to put this on a stick, which is just going to be, I guess, another cube. We'll make it like a 2 by 4. Boom. That's not where I wanted that to be. We want to snap cursor to center. I know there's keyboard shortcuts for all these things, but I don't spend enough time in Blender to really know them. Take this, modify, scale. That's not what I wanted. Something like that. Oh. And even though this is totally unnecessary, I'm gonna scale on the Y. Because again, I'm thinking kind of 2 by 4. All right, and I guess it should probably have some sort of, I don't know, some sort of cross or something that it's on. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's extrude. That's not what I imagined it would work. Right, just quick and dirty. There we go. Kind of like what you would end up doing in shop class. All right, cool, that's our target. So we're gonna save this as target. Boom. I'm so good at art. I can art your ass off. Okay, let's drop one of these in the world. Now, one of the things that's going to come up, it wasn't really something that came up with the level, but Unity is kind of weird. If you just drop a model in the world, and you're going to see what's going to happen. We're going to take this guy. Let's focus on him. Great. Make sure he's zeroed. Good. You know, we like where he is. We should start the game, and we'll be facing him directly so we can look at him and see what he looks like in game. You're going to hit play. Oh, he is there. Oh, because it's actually wrapped in a container and everything works out fine. Let's say I took this and moved it over here. Now I hit play. Damn it! This is not supposed to be working correctly. Oh, unless this is something they fixed in Unity 4. That's possible, because the problem was it didn't used to properly keep track of the position or rotation of these models when they were just added to the game world sort of naked like this. You'd have to wrap it inside of a game object. That may have been resolved. Let's make this guy look a little bit, I'm not going to say better, I'm just going to say different. So we're going to create a new folder for our materials. And we're going to create a couple of materials. We're going to call it enemy feet, and we're going to create enemy torso. We're going to make the enemy torso bright red. Drag that onto there. The enemy feet, we'll just make it like kind of a darker gray. Excellent. And then we're going to take our target and we're going to turn it into a prefab so we can reuse it as often as we want. So let's review. I made a model in Blender. I brought it into Unity. I dropped it in the game world, which is sort of an optional step at this point. I created a couple of materials. I applied it to the model. And then I turned the model into a prefab just by dragging it from here into the project. Now I can delete the model from the game world, and then I can use the prefab as often as I want. All over the place. Boom, 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 boom. And in fact, this prefab would be an excellent contender for the shadow blob because it doesn't move, right? So let's standard assets, projectors, blob light, blob shadow. That's what I want. It's going to be applied to, which one is this guy? This one. Apply it to this guy. Boom. We're going to move it up so that the blob is, say about that size. We're going to change the near clipping so it doesn't really shadow on itself very much, mostly just on the ground. Yeah, about like that. I'd like to make it less dark. I'm not sure if I can easily do it from here actually, so I guess I'll forget about it. And that's great, but it's only affecting this particular model. The other ones don't have the shadow blob, but I can apply the changes to the prefab, and now, there we go. I actually applied it and changed the other prefab, which is not at all what I wanted to do, but let's pretend that didn't happen. Now, they all have their shadow projectors. The shadows look terrible, but they're there. All right, so we have an object, and we can walk right through these because they don't currently have a collider. Well, these are going to be the targets that we're going to be shooting at. Boom, boom. We're going to be trying to clear the level of these static enemies that don't move or do anything like that. AI, that's for another tutorial. That's not for today. So, a couple of things. They are going to need a collider on them so that you can actually interact with these guys at some point. So let's go and add one now. I guess a capsule collider doesn't really make much of a difference. Actually, you know what? We'll just put a box collider around the chest. So component, physics, box collider. We could also use a mesh collider, but in this case, we really don't need the complexity that a mesh collider brings. We can just use a very, very simple box collider around our object. And just around the chest. So it's lined up about there, and we can make it narrower this way, and certainly this way as well. There we go. So it's not a perfect match. Technically, you can shoot here and still hit him, right? And those are the sorts of decisions you constantly have to make in your games. You're going to have to exchange speed and simplicity for realism. It would actually be really, really easy for us to put a mesh collider on just the chest piece. It would be the most trivial thing in the world, but I don't want to. I want to do this because I kind of want to highlight that point. So I've done that. I'm going to hit apply. So it's going to update the prefab. So all these guys, they all have the same box collider. You can see that greenish area. And now if we hit play, actually, we're going to not be able to walk through these guys anymore, which is good. And when we start shooting things, they will hit this target. So let's start shooting things. And that requires a couple of different things for us to do. We're going to start a new script. And we're going to make a very, very, very basic shooting script at first. I guess one interesting question are the targets static or not? If the targets literally never change, then they can be static. But if they're going to get exploded, if they're going to change color when hit, if they're going to do anything like that, then they're really not static. You could fake it. You could do a few things with them. Maybe when you shoot them, they just light on fire, in which case the object itself doesn't actually change, but you'll have fire effects over it. That's a possibility. You could superimpose things on top of it. You could do a variety of techniques that would allow you to set the target to static and therefore cast real shadows, while still making it look like they get, sort of exploded or damaged. We're not going to set them as static. We're going to have them like completely explode or some damn thing. Just leave a smoking crater behind when they go. Apparently they're packed with dynamite for no goddamn reason whatsoever. So we're going to need a new script. Before I go, let's double check, see if there's any questions over here. Sofa gun. I don't think so. All right, no relevant questions. Excellent. All these people are going to be like, what? My question is relevant. No, it wasn't. All right. So, shooting. New script. Yes. So, we're going to create a new script, and this is going to be called our FPS. I don't know. Maybe we should shorten these to other things. FP shooting. First person shooting. And we're going to apply it to our player. And we're going to try again. Apply it to the player. Excellent. Double click. Everyone is so obsessed with gun recoil. It's gun recoil. You gotta have gun recoil. Gun recoil is very simple. When you shoot, you take something like your vertical rotation and you just like add a little bit of randomness to it or some damn thing. Like there's a variety of techniques that you can use, but it's not actually like a complicated thing. It's just a question of, do you want recoil at all? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. And there's different ways of simulating it. But you're just going to rotate your sort of vertical rotation and your left-right rotation by a certain amount as you shoot, right? Because when you're doing a machine gun, so you've got this thing and it's like, that's it. If you want real recoil from a real powerful weapon, then literally you can cause yourself to like get kicked backwards simply by, adding something to your speed for, the second that it affects you, or little things like that. It's not complicated. The question is not how do you do recoil. The question is, how do you do really good recoil that feels ideal? And then it's like, well, that's really complicated and depends entirely on your game. How realistic is it supposed to be? Like if it's a gun, like a powerful rifle, the recoil actually tends to be mostly straight up, right? That's the sort of angle that's going on there. In which case, that's fine. Then you have a random component, but mostly in the Y, and it's not technically difficult. It's just one of those in practice of like, how do we get really ideal recoil that feels good? And that's entirely subjective. So, first person shooting. We are going to simply work the shooting by, if we are clicking on the fire button, fire is a predefined axis. In fact, fire 1 through 3 are predefined. Fire 1 is bound to left control and also mouse 0. The 0th button is your left mouse button. So that's good, all right. So if, I think for this we'd want just get button, input.get button. So while it's being held down, we will shoot. That depends. Some guns don't work that way. Some guns you might have to keep hitting the button over and over because it's not an automatic weapon. We're going to take the simplest approach here. There's other considerations when you're talking about truly different weapons. You don't just have one script to handle it all. Different weapons will have different behaviors and different variables. But if fire 1, then we shoot. And missing a parentheses. So in our very simplest shooting example, what are we going to do? This first shooting thing is going to be less shooting and more us throwing something explosive, because people were asking about gravity and all that. So we're going to take the most physical version of it first, where we're actually throwing some sort of object. It's going to be some, just, I don't know, a sphere or something like that we fling forward. And when it collides against something, boom, right? So it's almost like a touch-sensitive grenade or something like that. So we are going to create a prefab for our bullet. We're going to start by modeling it in the game world, but literally it's just going to be, we're just going to create a sphere. It's going to be quite small. All right. What have I done? 0.1. Okay, a tiny little sphere. It's a thermal detonator. And that's it. We're going to call it bullet thermal detonator. There we are. Excellent. Perfect. And it's going to get thrown into our prefabs. Oh, and it's going to follow physics. So we are going to add physics rigid body. That means now it's affected by gravity. It will bounce off things and all that. There we go. So that's it. If we hit play, and we should be able to find this thing. There it is. This tiny little ball just fell down. It's hard to see because it's gray. Let's, I don't know what color we want to make this thing. Oh, it needs material. Thermal detonator. Oh, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be self-illuminating. It's going to be self-illuminating and, I don't know, bright purple, just so that we can see it. Boom. Right, so it's going to be this bright purple ball. It's self-illuminating, which means it's not going to be triggered by light and shadow. It's just, oh, fucking not purple. Red for thermal detonator. Maybe something like that. Yeah, why not? Terrible. So yeah, you can see it's like bright, bright, bright. It doesn't matter where it is in the game world. It's always going to be perfectly bright. Yeah, just cuz. And so that's our prefab. So now we can take it. Let's just apply, make sure everything's in there. Good. And we can get rid of it from the game world. And now we just have it in the prefab over here. So in our gun script, we're going to have a variable, game object, called bullet prefab. I'm going to make it a public. And so our player, which has the shooting script, is looking for a bullet prefab. This is what it's going to shoot. So we're going to drag that prefab into there. And then when our player shoots, all we need to do is instantiate our bullet prefab. And we want it at our, our player's current position and the same rotation. So it's going to match what our player does. And now already that's going to be enough. For now, let's go get button down, because otherwise it's going to be way too spammy. Now if I hit this, and I hit the button, there it is. Boop, 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 boop. Oh my god, we just invented Pac-Man. So we're dropping these things. It's spawning at the player's position, which is at the 0 point. Now we probably want to spawn it at the at our eye level. In fact, we don't want to spawn at the player's position at all. We want to spawn it where the camera is. So we want camera C equals, well, let's call it cam, equals camera dot main. So we're grabbing the main camera, and it's going to be the main camera's position and the main camera's rotation. So now at least it's going to spawn at the center of the screen. Oh, and it actually spawns. It's spawning inside of us, and then as soon as we move, then it's falling out. But that's good. That's what we want. Well, that's what we want for now. Obviously, it's not what we want next. Okay, just spawning on top of us, and we're moving backwards, and then it's falling through things. Oh, there we are. All right, we're good. Okay. So what we want to do is, first of all, we don't want to spawn it. Well, I guess it's not the end of the world if it spawns right inside of us, but we need to spawn it with a forward momentum. It's got to be going forward. Okay, we can do that. So instantiate returns an object, but we can force it to return a game object, which is actually what it's truly returning. Game object, the bullet. Gets stored in there. So then we can say the bullet dot rigid body dot add force, and we want to send it forward in some fashion. So let's go ahead. We're going to set it here. It's not where we're going to want to keep this, but we're going to say float bullet speed equals, and it's going to be quite fast. We're going to try, this is not actually speed, it's bullet, the impulse we're going to apply to the bullet. It's going to need quite a bit more than that, I think.